Am I the jerk for inviting my mom to meet my 1-week-old son? I'm a 34-year-old man. My wife recently gave birth to a beautiful baby boy. He's the first child in my family in many years, and everyone was very excited about his arrival, especially my mom. She wanted to be in the delivery room with us, but my wife said no, so I respected her wishes. I told my mom she could meet the baby once we were home, and my wife agreed. Well, there were some complications during delivery, and my wife was clearly exhausted. In her exhaustion, she told me that maybe having my mom waiting at home wasn't a good idea and suggested we ask her to come after a few weeks. I was shocked and hurt. My mom loves my wife, and here was my wife seemingly trying to intentionally hurt her feelings. But seeing my wife in pain, I couldn't say no, so I called my mom. She was very disappointed. A week went by without any issues. I asked my wife several times when my mom could come over, but she kept telling me to wait. Yesterday, my wife had a doctor's appointment and I was in charge of looking after our son. Suddenly, I had an idea and called my mom, who lives nearby. She came over and met my son. The happiness on her face was incredible. It was an emotional moment for me, seeing her hold him for the first time. She was getting ready to leave when my wife came home. She got really upset, really fast. She didn't say anything to my mom, but I could see on her face that a scolding was coming. My mom left and my wife exploded. I had never seen her so angry. She told me that if she hadn't even invited her own mother, I should understand that there was a reason. She was especially upset that I had done this behind her back. I apologized multiple times, but she's still angry. I ended up sleeping in the guest room last night. I don't think I did anything a good son wouldn't do, but I feel terrible for hurting my wife. After the argument, we tried to talk things over more calmly. My wife explained that she was feeling extremely vulnerable and still recovering from the complications of childbirth. She said that having anyone over, even my mom, would add to her stress and anxiety. She mentioned that she wanted some time alone with our baby to adjust to the new routine, and that the emotional and physical support I was providing was essential right now. That's when she told me about the risks of infections for newborns, something I hadn't considered before. She explained that, in the first few days, it's best to limit contact with other people to avoid exposing the baby to possible illnesses, as his immune system is still very fragile. I felt awful for not having considered this. I never wanted to put our son at risk, and seeing my wife's genuine concern made me start to understand her point of view. I explained to her that my intention was never to hurt or disrespect her, but to share the joy of our son's birth with my mom, who had been so eager to meet him. My wife started to cry and said she felt betrayed because I acted behind her back, especially when she needed my support and understanding the most. She said she expected me to be her partner, someone she could trust completely, especially in delicate moments like this. I hugged her and promised that from now on, I would respect her needs and feelings and that I wouldn't make any important decisions about our son without discussing it with her first. Reflecting on it, I realized how strong my wife has been. She went through a complicated birth and is still facing the challenges of being a new mom. She has always been the kind of person who takes care of everyone around her, and now it's my turn to take care of her. I remembered how she always sees the good in people, even in difficult situations. She's always said that her strength comes from her ability to see the best in others and to help without expecting anything in return. She deserves more than anything a husband who supports her unconditionally. While we were hugging, my wife mentioned how vulnerable and exposed she felt after childbirth. She said she needed time to feel safe and comfortable again before having visitors, even close family. She told me how the experience of giving birth left her physically and emotionally drained, and how it was important for her to recover in a peaceful environment. This moment of vulnerability was a wake-up call for me. I had never really thought about how much my wife was going through, trying to adapt to motherhood while dealing with pain and exhaustion. I realized that my mom could wait a bit longer to see the baby, and that the well-being of my wife and our son should be my absolute priority. That night, before going to bed, I promised my wife I would do better. I told her I was willing to learn and be more attentive to her needs. She gave me a small smile and held my hand, which gave me hope that things would eventually get back to normal between us. I understand now that, even though I want to be a good son, I need to be a better husband and father. My wife and son's needs and feelings come first, and I need to be there for them in every way possible.